Hello, I'm Kevin Hong. I'm a partner at LYC Partners, an executive search and leadership advisory firm. I'm also the co-founder of The Council, a private network for senior executives. And this is Leaders in Motion.
In this solo format, I take one insight from our executive peer learning community, something real that surfaced round table or workshop, and I follow it all the way down. Here's what happened in a session a few weeks ago. An HQ executive, smart, experienced, genuinely good at his job, said this. Every Chinese New Year, I get the same frustration. I need something to move. I send a message. Nothing comes back. And I know it's holiday, but I'm sitting here wondering, well, sometimes people tell me they don't work at all, but some people answer. So I'm not sure. It's a bit confusing. A leader who had run China operations for years said, well, they're working, just not on what you're asking for. It points to the exact misunderstanding I wanted to unpack today. Chinese New Year is 7 official days off, operations pause, paperwork stops, admin approvals, contracts. Well, most of it don't really move, but something else is moving constantly, despite being a break, quote unquote, relationships, trust, 关系, the invisible infrastructure that actually makes Chinese business run. Your China team is not sitting still. They are sending hundreds of messages, videos, voice notes, greetings to suppliers, clients, partners, and networks, even family photos and photo at the dinner table. They're doing some of the most important business relationship work of the entire year. They are just not doing it for you. And most HQ executives have no idea this is happening. That gap between what HQs think, between what Chinese New Year is and what it actually is, this episode is about. Let me describe the two ways international companies typically handle Chinese New Year. Both are wrong. Mistake number 1, HQ keeps pushing. Well, the logic sounds reasonable from the outside somehow, because in the Chinese culture, the hardworking culture where you never unplug, the holiday is 7 days and it's not that long. People have phones, and if something is genuinely urgent, surely they can answer. And they will answer. So messages go out, decks get set, requests land in boxes. And here's the thing. They get answered almost always because in a high hierarchy culture, hardworking, not responding to the boss feels hard. So your China team answers, they deliver, they perform availability. But HQ is reading this completely wrong. The fact that your team responds does not mean it's okay to ask. It means your team doesn't feel safe not responding. Those are not the same thing, not even close. What HQ experiences as no problem, they replied. The China team experiences as I was at a family dinner, 3 generations at the table. My grandmother traveled 2 provinces to be here, and I had to step away to answer a work message. They will not tell you this. The culture doesn't make that easy to say upward, but they will remember it. And over time, that memory accumulates into something, a distance, a guardedness, a recalibration of how much they're willing to give. Take number 2. HQ goes completely dark. The other camp decides, China is off. We don't touch anything. We wait until the offices reopen. This sounds respectful. Like in Europe, when Christmas or summer holiday, a lot of countries of culture, they just stop and things go on a silent mode. But in China, it is not entirely, because while operations are paused, the relationship layer of Chinese business is running at full speed. Chinese New Year is when your partners and clients are sending greetings to everyone they value. You send gifts, you send hongbao, you send messages, videos, like each other messages, and also photos on WeChat. When trust gets renewed, warmth gets expressed, and the network that holds everything together gets actively maintained. If your company goes silent during these periods, no message, no acknowledgements, no gesture, your Chinese counterparts will notice. The Chinese competitors will feel the void. It's not going to be felt as an insult, but more as an absence. And in a relationship-driven culture, absence is its own message. It says, we don't think about you when there's something transactional at stake. When there's nothing transactional, that is the worst thing a company can communicate in a Chinese business context. So pushing on operations is wrong. Going completely dark is also wrong. The right answer is something most HQ teams have never been told to do. Let me paint the picture more precisely. Because I think HQ executives generally don't know what this period looks like from the other side. Your China team member is home, maybe for the first time in 12 months, right? The travel alone may have taken most of the day. The family obligations are real, right? Dinners that are non-negotiable, relatives who need to be visited, rituals that have meaning across generations. And at the same time, because this is China, because the culture does not separate relationship from work, the way Western culture tries to, they're also doing something else. They're sending greetings, hundreds of them, WeChat voice notes to suppliers they haven't spoken to since Q3, short videos to long-term clients, red envelopes, digital and physical, messages to former colleagues, mentors, people in the network they want to keep warm. This is not casual socializing. This is professional relationship maintenance conducted through a cultural ritual that everyone understands and values. The thoughtful person who sends a CNY message is investing in a relationship. The person who does not send one is letting it cool. Now, here's where the Western company is strictly blind. In a Western professional culture, relationship building is separate from the work calendar. It happens at specific designated moments. In Chinese professional culture, relationship building is woven into the calendar itself. The holiday season is not separate from business. It is one of the highest leverage business moments of the year, just conducted through a completely different set of activities that what HQ recognizes as work. So when an HQ executive looks at Chinese New Year and sees 7 days of low productivity, they are looking at the wrong layer entirely. The layer they should be watching is the relationship layer. On that, things are moving fast. The question for every international company is simply, are you at that conversation or not? Let me get specific, because the leaders in our community who handle this well are doing something intentional. It's more plannable than most people realize. The rule is quite simple. Operations off, relationships on, but planned in advance. This is a critical piece. The relationship work that lands well during Chinese New Year doesn't happen spontaneously. It gets prepared before the holiday starts. Then it gets executed during the holiday in a way that feels personal and warm, not like a broadcast, not like a campaign, not like a company template. Here's what looks like in practice. Before that holiday, you identify what matters most. Key clients, key partners, and your team members, people you want to invest in. You think about what to say to each of them. Something specific, something that shows you were paying attention. Reference to a conversation you had, an acknowledgement of something they accomplished, a note about the family, if you know enough to make it personal. You also think about the greeting itself. Use the right words for the year. Reference the animal, keep it warm, human, no business, no ask. Nothing that could be read as transactional. During the holiday, you send it personally in your own voice. This takes real effort at scale. If you have a large China team or a broad partner network, it needs to be coordinated. Staggered so it doesn't feel like a blast, personal enough that each message could only have been written for that specific person. And that's also the balance that you need to find, that planned effort and that genuine message and communication and care. Personal message from a senior HQ leader arriving during Chinese New Year, referencing something real that lands differently than anything you can do the rest of the year. Because you said it when there was nothing to gain, when there was no agenda. That is the definition of genuine care in a culture that reads relationship signals with extraordinary precision. And your team in China will feel touched, genuinely touched by the gesture. The executives in our community who do this consistently describe the same result. When the offices reopen, the relationship is warmer, communication is more open, the early warning signals, the honest feedback, the heads up before a problem becomes a crisis, are flowing more easily, more freely, not because of a strategy, because of a gesture. One more thing. When the holiday ends, be ready. The re-entry after Chinese New Year is not a slow warm-up. The network has been activated. Energy is high. Relationship has been refreshed on both sides. Things move fast. The HQ leaders who did the relationship work during the break will feel that immediately. The ones who went dark will spend the first 2 weeks trying to rebuild warmth that went cold. So plan the re-entry before the holiday starts. Know what you want to move, with whom, in what order, and let your China pace because they know what shifted during the break better than you do. Here's the one thing I want to leave you with. Chinese New Year is not a pause in your China business. Operations pause. That part is real and you need to respect it completely. No request, no deliverables, no quick questions. But the relationship layer doesn't pause, it accelerates. And that relationship layer is the foundation that everything else, every deal, every partnership, every piece of honest feedback you need from your China team is built on. Most international companies either put on operations which damages trust quietly and persistently, or go completely dark, which signals they don't understand what actually matters. The companies that get China right treat this week as one of the highest leverage windows of the year. They do not operational work. They do significant relationship work, and they plan it long before the holiday starts. If the holiday has already started and you have not done this, it's not too late. One personal message, no business, just one. That's the whole move. I'm Kevin Hong. 新年快乐 and Happy New Year. I see you next time on Leaders in Motion.
Thank you for listening to Leaders in Motion. And if you want to go further, join the Leaders in Motion Academy, our executive program. The first step is simple. Subscribe to our newsletter in the show notes, and you'll get access to our exclusive insights and all the details about the academy. This podcast is produced by Melanie Hong, who helps leaders and organizations create strategic podcasts. I'm Kevin Hong, and see you next time.